Welcome back, coin lovers and collectors. Sparkles. Today, we're going to explore the top 4 most valuable steel wheat pennies from the United States of America. These unique 1-cent coins, minted in 1943 during World War II, stand out because they were made from steel coated with zinc instead of traditional copper, a decision made to conserve copper for the war effort. But what makes them so valuable? Magnifying glass tilted right rare error coins, unusual conditions, and even different color shades like silver gray, dark tone, or replated examples have become major highlights in the world of coin collecting and investing. These rare treasures are not just pieces of history. They're some of the most sought-after wheat pennies that collectors are hunting for today, with some examples valued at hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on rarity and condition. So, if you're a coin enthusiast or simply someone who appreciates the beauty and significance of American currency, this video is just for you. Back-end index pointing right, let's get started with a countdown of the top 4 most valuable steel wheat pennies, beginning with number 1, Rocket. In the year 1943, while the world was engulfed in the chaos of World War II, the United States Mint made a decision that would forever echo to the halls of numismatic history. Copper was desperately needed for the war effort. Every shell casing, every piece of equipment depended on it. So, in that year alone, the humble Lincoln wheat penny was struck not in its traditional bronze, but in steel, coated with a thin layer of zinc. The result was a coin that shone like silver, a coin that looked unlike any penny Americans had ever seen before. To the average citizen in 1943, these pennies were simply a reminder of sacrifice, war bonds, rationing, and the collective push to victory. Yet to collectors today, the steel wheat cent has become one of the most fascinating issues ever struck by the U.S. Mint. And among them, the Philadelphia Mint's version, carrying no mint mark, stands as a foundation of this historical chapter. Imagine the millions that pass from hand to hand, yet within them lie secrets. Coins struck in error, anomalies, and variations that today command unimaginable values. The gleam of the 1943 steel penny was startling. People mistook them for dimes, sometimes rejecting them as fake or foreign. Yet their silvery appearance became symbolic of the times, austere, metallic, and temporary. They were never meant to last, for steel rusted and many corroded away over the decades. This fragility only adds to their mystique today. Surviving pristine examples, untouched by rust or wear, already command thousands of dollars. But the possibility of finding one struck differently, on the wrong planchet, in silver-like perfection, is the stuff of dreams. Collectors have long whispered about the rarest of the rare. Pennies from 1943 not only struck in steel, but potentially in other metals that slipped into the presses by accident. Imagine a coin that left the mint floor by mistake, carried unknowingly in the pocket of a worker, then vanishing into circulation. That very coin could be sitting in an old jar, hidden in a desk drawer, waiting to be discovered. If the no mint mark 1943 penny in your possession has that extraordinary silver-like luster, it could be more than just an oddity. It could be your destiny. The artistry of Victor David Brenner's wheat design adds weight to this story. First introduced in 1909, the wheat ears flanking Lincoln's portrait were meant to symbolize America's agricultural strength. But on the 1943 penny, the wheat takes on a haunting quality, for these coins were born during war, during scarcity, during a time when every resource was stripped bare. The wheat on a 1943 steel penny feels less like prosperity and more like endurance, reminding us of what the nation was fighting to preserve. What collectors crave is not just the coin itself, but the drama behind it. A 1943 steel cent with no mint mark is already historic, but when paired with rumors of silver-struck errors, it transforms into legend. Auction houses thrive on such legends. The energy in a room as such a coin crosses the block is electric. Collectors leaning forward, investors dialing in from across the globe, each knowing this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Even circulated examples can spark bidding wars. But if a flawless, gleaming, silver-like 1943 penny were to appear, it would ignite the market in ways few coins ever have. Numbers would skyrocket into millions, not because of the metal itself, but because of what it represents. An accident of history, a tangible reminder that even in times of war and scarcity, chance could create something priceless. There is something magical about the idea of a coin meant for 5 cents changing a life forever. That is the allure of the 1943 penny. It is not about wealth alone. It is about the thrill of discovery, the sudden transformation of the ordinary into the extraordinary. That penny sitting in a dusty jar could hold more value than a vault full of gold. It is this possibility that keeps collectors searching, scouring every flea market, every estate sale, every family collection. And the no mint mark coin from Philadelphia remains at the center of this legend, for it was there that the largest numbers were struck, and it is there that anomalies most likely occurred. Every Philadelphia coin carries a chance of being one of those spectacular errors, one of those silver-like rarities that defy expectation. Owning such a coin is not merely about possession. It is about holding history, destiny, and fortune in the palm of your hand. Picture this. The world sleeps. Your coin lies forgotten in a drawer, and you suddenly recognize its shine, its difference, its power. In that moment, fortune awakens. With a single discovery, your name could join the ranks of those who unearthed treasures that the world had written off as impossible. The 1943 no mint mark steel penny, especially in silver-like rarity, is one of those treasures. Every collector dreams of the day they hold a coin that makes the world stop and take notice. The 1943 wheat penny, with its war-forged origins and silver glow, has all the ingredients of myth, and within it lies the power to change everything. Do not spend it lightly. Do not cast it aside. For in this 1 cent may dwell the key to a fortune beyond imagining, a story that will outlive us all. In the end, the 1943 penny is more than a coin. It is a mirror of history, a symbol of sacrifice, and a potential gateway to untold wealth. And if the coin you hold in your hand gleams with the silver brilliance of a rare anomaly, then destiny has chosen you. For in this single cent lies the power to transform your fortune overnight, to move from obscurity to legend, and to stand forever in the pages of America's numismatic story. Next up, the year 1943 was one of urgency, sacrifice, and innovation in America. World War II raged overseas, and at home, every factory, farm, and family contributed to the fight. Copper was in such desperate need for production of ammunition and vital equipment that the United States Mint made an extraordinary choice. For the first and only time, the Lincoln wheat penny would be struck primarily from steel, coated with zinc for protection. And thus, the 1943 steel cent was born, an anomaly in American coinage, a piece of metal that looked silver but carried a value of just 1 cent. Among all the steel cents produced that year, the Denver Mint's issue, carrying the D Mint mark, hold a unique aura of rarity and intrigue. Struck in massive numbers, yes, but surviving in pristine form today is another matter entirely. Steel rust, zinc peels, and decades of circulation wore away the fragile surface of these coins. To find one unscathed, gleaming with its silvery white brilliance, is like discovering a frozen relic from wartime America itself. The 1943 D penny is fascinating not only because of its wartime origin, but also because of the myths and mysteries that surround it. While millions were struck in steel, accidents did occur. Rare pennies from that year have surface struck in copper or struck with slight planchet variations. The Denver Mint itself produced some of the most legendary error coins, and if such an error carried the D Mint mark, it would command sums that stretch into millions. For the collector, this transforms an ordinary pocket piece into a potential life-altering fortune. The wheat design on the reverse, flanking the bold words 1 cent, carried deep symbolism. These ears of wheat, first introduced in 1909, stood for abundance and prosperity. Yet in 1943, struck on steel, they seemed to whisper a different story. They became symbols of survival, of a nation planting seeds of hope in a time when resources were stretched to their limit. The Denver steel penny captures that paradox. Fragile, temporary, and yet enduring as a piece of living history. To hold such a coin today is to feel the weight of that history in your palm. Imagine the hands that might have touched it in the 1940s. A soldier's wife buying groceries under rationing restrictions, a child saving for war bonds, a factory worker receiving change for his lunch. That very penny may have traveled through moments of sacrifice, carrying the echoes of an era when every American felt the burden of war. But beyond history lies the allure of unimaginable wealth. If your 1943 D penny shows the traits of a rare error, struck on copper by accident, or minted with a dazzling silver-like finish in perfect preservation, you may not just own a coin, you may hold a golden key to fortune. Auction houses across the globe hunger for such discoveries, and bidders will climb over one another to claim ownership. A single coin could lift you from obscurity into headlines, its sale earning sums at rival lottery winnings. The market for the 1943 D penny is alive with energy, fueled by collectors' dreams and investors' ambitions. In pristine condition, these coins already soar in price. Add the possibility of a silver-toned rarity or a misstrike, and the numbers leap beyond comprehension. Some speak of millions. Others whisper values so staggering that they could transform an ordinary collector into a billionaire overnight. What makes the 1943 D penny so captivating is that its value isn't tied to its metal but to its story. A coin of war, born from necessity, abandoned when peace returned, and rediscovered decades later as a symbol of rarity and opportunity. It is a story of survival, sacrifice, and fortune that collectors cannot resist. Each coin becomes more than money. It becomes a talisman of history itself. And yet, countless 1943 D pennies still lie hidden. In coffee tins and attics, in dusty boxes and basements, in forgotten jars of change passed down through families. Among those lies the possibility of greatness, the chance that one coin may not be like the others, the chance that its silver-like gleam hides a flaw, an anomaly, an error that lifts it into the stratosphere of value. That possibility fuels a collector's endless search. The Denver Mint, with its D Mint mark, has long been known for producing treasures, coins that slip through the cracks of perfection to become priceless. If you possess one of these 1943 D pennies, treat it not as spare change, but as a sleeping giant. For when it awakens in the numismatic market, it could change your life in an instant. Picture the moment. You walk into an auction house, your 1943 D penny in hand. Experts examine it under magnification, murmuring in excitement, then announce to the room that this is no ordinary coin. It is a discovery of a lifetime. The bidding begins. Numbers climb higher and higher until the gavel falls and your coin fetches a price you never imagined possible. That is the dream the 1943 D steel wheat penny carries. In the end, this coin is not just a relic of war or a collector's trinket. It is a beacon of possibility. It represents a strange alchemy of history, rarity, and fortune colliding in one small piece of metal. To spend it at face value would be a tragedy, for its true worth lies not in a cent, but in the stories it carries and the fortune it promises. The 1943 D wheat penny has the power to turn pocket change into a legacy, to change a life overnight, and forever etch your name into the chronicles of America's numismatic legends. Next up, the year 1956 was one of prosperity in post-war America. The country was thriving, industries were booming, and optimism was in the air. Yet, quietly circulating in the pockets of ordinary people was a humble coin that would later ignite the imaginations of collectors everywhere. The Lincoln wheat penny. Among the pennies struck that year, those bearing the D Mint mark from the Denver Mint stand out as particularly captivating, not only for their history, but also for their hidden potential value in today's market. The 1956 D wheat penny was born in vast numbers. Millions upon millions were struck, yet time has proven that not all coins are created equal. While the majority ended up battered and worn in everyday circulation, a select few survived in pristine condition. Some carried subtle errors, tiny variations that the human eye could easily miss, but that collectors recognize as priceless. It is in these rare survivors that fortunes lie waiting to be claimed. The wheat penny itself carries deep symbolism. Designed in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's centennial, it was the first American coin to feature a real person rather than allegorical figures. The reverse with two bold stalks of wheat stood as a reminder of America's agricultural strength, abundance, and resilience. By 1956, this design had already etched itself into the hearts of millions, and the Denver issue added its own charm to the coin's legacy. For collectors today, the 1956 D wheat penny is more than a copper coin. It is a story of endurance. Its reddish-brown surface, rich with copper tones, can tell tales of pockets, purses, and store counters of mid-century America. Yet the coins that remain uncirculated, still glowing with their original mint luster, are like windows back in time. These untouched examples are the ones that command attention and sky-high prices. Even more thrilling are the error coins that slipped past the Denver Mint's quality control. Double die strikes, off-center mintings, and repunched mint marks have turned ordinary-looking 1956 D pennies into treasures worth thousands, even millions, depending on their rarity and demand. For the lucky person who discovers such a coin today, it is nothing less than a golden ticket, an object of unimaginable value masquerading as a humble cent. The market for wheat pennies remains electric, and the 1956 D occupies a special place within it. Collector, investors, and historians all hunger for the chance to own such a piece. The bidding wars that erupt when rare varieties hit auction blocks prove one thing. The power of history combined with scarcity is irresistible. This is why some call the 1956 D penny a fortune in disguise. Think of it. What other artifact could you find in a jar of coins, a dresser drawer, or a shoebox in the attic that could change your financial destiny overnight? That is the magic of the 1956 D wheat penny. Its copper face might seem ordinary, but its story, its rarity, and its errors can transform into a multi-million-dollar discovery. The Denver Mint, responsible for striking the D marked coins, was known for its efficiency and its ability to meet the nation's growing demands. But efficiency sometimes gave way to human error, and those errors are what feed the treasure hunt today. Every D stamped on a penny is a clue, a mark that ties it back to a place where history and fortune intersect. To possess a 1956 D wheat penny in extraordinary condition or with a rare error is to hold more than money. It is to hold power, the power to rewrite your story, to step from ordinary into extraordinary, to see your life change overnight with a single auction sale. For those who recognize its value, this coin is a key to both wealth and legacy. Imagine walking into an appraisal, coin in hand. The expert peers to their magnifier, eyes widening as they realize you are not holding a simple cent, but a treasure worth millions. The room stirs, whispers ripple through the crowd, and suddenly you are at the center of history and fortune colliding. That moment is a dream carried by every 1956 D wheat penny in hiding. It is important to remember that coins like these are not just about the metal or even the minting errors. They are about connection to a moment in America's past, to the people who lived and worked and dreamed in 1956. When you hold one, you carry that legacy forward. And in the process, you may find yourself carrying something else, a treasure capable of transforming your life. So, if you ever find a 1956 D wheat penny, resist the urge to dismiss it as common change. Examine it, protect it, and recognize its potential. Because hidden within that small piece of copper may be the power to alter your fortune forever. The coin that once bought a piece of candy could one day buy you a kingdom. That is the everlasting allure of the 1956 D wheat penny. Next up. In 1943, America stood at the height of World War II. Factories roared with the sound production, not of cars or appliances, but of tanks, planes, and weapons needed for the fight overseas. Copper, the very metal that for decades had given the penny its familiar reddish glow, was suddenly more precious for bullets and military wiring than for coins jingling in pockets. In that tense moment, the U.S. Mint made a historic decision. The cent would be struck not from copper, but from a new material, zinc-coated steel. Gleaming silver in appearance, the 1943 wheat penny became a coin unlike any before or after it. The 1943 P wheat penny, produced in Philadelphia without a mint mark, hold a special place in American coinage. Millions were made, yet their story is far from ordinary. Their silver-colored steel composition set them apart so drastically that many Americans at the time confused them with dimes. This small piece of change became a visual reminder of sacrifice on the home front, a coin literally born of war, when every ounce of copper was redirected to the battlefield. While millions were struck, the value of the 1943 P steel cent lies in its uniqueness within history and the mystery surrounding its errors and variations. Some of these coins were struck on leftover copper planchets by accident, creating some of the most valuable coins in the entire U.S. coin market. But even among the steel cent themselves, there are stories of misstrikes, rusting survivors, and rare high-quality pieces that have made collectors chase them like buried treasure. The silvery surface of the 1943 P penny gave it an almost magical appearance to those who first held it. Children collecting change in their piggy banks marveled at its unusual shine. Workers in war factories might have dropped them unknowingly into soda machines. And soldiers' families, writing letters to their loved ones across the seas, likely handled these steel pennies as they purchased stamps. The coin was everywhere, yet within its commonness was the extraordinary. This penny was a living symbol of sacrifice, change, and resilience. Over time, however, the steel cent revealed its weakness. The zinc coating wore away, leaving the underlying steel to rust. Many of the coins, especially those not carefully stored, corroded and darkened with age. But this decay only made the surviving bright, uncirculated examples more valuable. Collectors now fight over these shining survivors, treating them as relics of an era when an entire nation was willing to adapt, even in its coinage, for the sake of victory. Among the 1943 issues, the Philadelphia Mint stands out. Without the D of Denver or the S of San Francisco, these pennies look plain, but their simplicity has become part of their mystique. The 1943 P penny is considered the core of the steel cent series, a foundation stone in the story of American wartime money. To own one is not just to own a coin, it is to hold a piece of America's fight for freedom. Then comes a great irony. Though the coin was made of steel, countless myths grew that it was made of silver. Its gleam, its rarity in later decades, and its unusual nature led to tall tales. Children growing up in the 1950s and 1960s passed rumors that a 1943 penny could buy a house, that it was solid silver, or that the government had recalled them because of mistakes. In truth, these stories were exaggerations, but like all myths, they contained a grain of truth, because certain 1943 cents, especially those struck in error on copper, truly could change lives with their immense value. Auction houses have confirmed the unbelievable worth of rare variations of the 1943 cent. Imagine a coin meant to be worth just 1 cent fetching prices in the hundreds of thousands, or even millions, when collectors battle for ownership. The ordinary 1943 P steel cent in pristine condition can still command impressive prices, but when it comes to the error coin struck in copper or with unique flaws, the numbers skyrocket. This is why the 1943 penny has become legendary. It is both common and priceless, ordinary and extraordinary. Stories abound of unsuspecting people discovering 1943 pennies in old jars or dusty collections. A farmer finds one in his father's drawer. A child inherits a coin album with a steel cent shining in its slot. Some of these discoveries change lives when appraisers reveal the truth. What appears to be just another penny could, under the right circumstances, be a coin of unimaginable worth. For those lucky enough to have the right 1943 penny, their fortunes are rewritten overnight. Beyond money, the 1943 P penny is also a time capsule. Its design, the classic wheat ears reverse in Lincoln's dignified portrait, ties it to a tradition stretching back to 1909. But its steel composition roots it firmly in a specific moment, the urgency of 1943, when the world was at war. It bridges the ordinary life of everyday Americans with the extraordinary global conflict that defined the century. Holding one is like holding a heartbeat from 1943 itself. And so, the 1943 P-wheat penny stands today as both coin and legend. Some see it as silver, some see it as steel, some see it as copper by mistake. But all see it as rare, as powerful, as a symbol of how history can be captured in the smallest of objects. Its story proves that even the humblest denomination can become a treasure, that even a cent can hold the weight of destiny. If you ever find yourself face to face with a 1943 penny, do not rush to spend it, do not toss it aside. Look carefully, test it, treasure it, for it may not be a penny at all. It may be a key, a door to fortune, and a reminder that history always leaves behind secrets for the patient and the lucky to uncover. And in that glimmer of steel or the mistaken gleam of copper, you may just find your own fortune waiting to be revealed. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in next video. Goodbye.